the Cavs lost last night. They are now 4-6 on the season.
Mm-hmm.
They have one more game on their West Coast road trip. They beat Golden State. They had lost to Oklahoma City. They have lost now to Sacramento. They play Portland tomorrow. And I want to read you a quote from Donovan Mitchell after last night's game. And Jay, because you ignored my call this morning, the morning call, you didn't see we made a little pivot to the Cavs topic. But this is a direct quote, according to Cleveland.com, from Chris Fedor, from Donovan Mitchell after last night's loss. And I quote, "I said, come to me after game 10. Well, this was game 10. We got to figure this shit out. I think the biggest thing right now is finding a new level of consistency." He goes on to say that offensively, defensively, they haven't been consistent. They've dealt with injuries. And for a team that was expected to take the next step forward, they have taken a step backwards through 10 games of the season. Now, granted, it is 10 games of an 82-game season. It is too early for any oversweeping generalizations. But, guys, when you hear Donovan Mitchell say, quote, "Come to me after game 10. Well, this was game 10. We got to figure this shit out." Is that a shot at the coach?
Well, the first thing I think is he's throwing the coach right under the bus.
I think exactly he backed up over the coach.
I mean,
and by the way, I think that's okay.
It's warranted. It's warranted.
See, I got a big problem with that because if you didn't like if the team didn't like the coach, if you're going to fire, let's say Bickerstaff gets fired, because that may happen here, right?
It feels like that's where we're going.
Then you should have fired him at the end of last year.
Listen, you're not wrong.
Because if you think
you're not wrong,
everybody was saying that.
If you were that close to considering firing him, then why'd you waste the whole offseason with him here?
Bull, you're absolutely right. I thought after the big question on Bickerstaff was, let's see what he does in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He comes in as the better seed. He has home court advantage. They laid a colossal dinosaur egg.
Huge.
At that point, I said, he's not it. He is not it. Because as you guys know, when the playoffs roll around, what is it all about? Defense and rotation, matchups. He failed at every turn on matchups and rotation.
Which is funny because he harped on defense.
Right. Well, but
I know, but when they needed it in the regular season, it wasn't there. But more importantly, I thought his rotations were off.
Well, they got out.
And so I'm not like you're saying. Well, I don't agree with that. If why didn't you do it last year? Yes, should have been done last year.
It's not that I don't agree with firing him this year. It's that. It's a negative sign of the organization that you waited.
I couldn't agree more.
Because who knows, if you had brought in another coach, maybe this whole season, maybe Mobley does not look like he's moved forward.
Not at all.
He is not.
Same player.
He hasn't progressed at all.
No.
That was my number one talking point was going to be what you just said. We keep hearing that this team's going to go as far as Mobley takes them.
Yeah.
Every year there's got to be progression. He looks like the same guy. And I blame the organization and the coach 100%. For that.
And now what's going to happen? Donovan Mitchell don't like the coach. The coach is going to get fired, and then Donovan Mitchell's going to get traded next year.
Well, unless
he's a free agent.
They hit it out of the park with whoever they hire, and that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to ask Donovan if they do make a move from JB. They will say, "Donovan, who do you want to be the head coach
of course they will.
Cavaliers?"
But
he's going to
handpick
his own guy.
Leaves like what?
Listen, at this point, everything you do has to be geared towards getting him to stay. If you let's extrapolate this out. If you do it over 82 games, their record is 36-46.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
it's 38-44. Okay. It's not good. They're not 500, and he's leaving. Fix it now. And there's been plenty of examples where teams started horrifically. If you're going to do it, the first 10 games is the time to do it.
And get who?
My guess is they lose to Portland, and he doesn't come home with the team.
And
they've got some assistant coaches.
Don't ask me. I don't have an answer for you.
Well, Jason, who's the guy?
So Dave Yeager.
Dave Yeager,
Dave
right.
Yeager
Dave Yeager was brought in as a consultant. Dave Yeager has former NBA head coaching experience.
Right.
He was on the bench for the Sixers last year.
Yes.
The reason he is no longer an NBA head coach is he had some cancer stuff and had to step back medically. But he did not get fired from Memphis, or he was not asked to leave Sacramento because he wasn't doing a good job.
Right.
He had to take a step back to focus on his own health.
My guess is he's the most logical choice.
Yeah, I mean, they have Luke Walton on the staff, and he's been a coach.
He's been a head coach.
But I don't
the
see
problem
that.
with the Cavs is this. The problem is
Get Mark Jackson back.
I don't know what the heck Mark Jackson did. They didn't give
He
him
got
no
blackballed for life.
They got him up out of here good. Problem with the Cavs is this. They don't have an offensive identity. I knew it was going to be a problem when you watch these games. When you saw Max Strus coming off, dribbling the ball up, trying to play make. I'm like, what is Max Strus playmaking for? When he played for the Heat, you come off screens and that's it. That's one roll.
Catch and shoot.
I'm like, Niang, Now listen, I know Niang is not going. They call him the minivan or something, but he was not that big in Philadelphia. Mikey McNuggets, George Niang has put on at least 20 pounds. He's put on 20. He has never been that big.
Niang has never had the prototypical NBA body. He may look.
Is
a
he
half
right
step
though?
Slow.
Does he look bigger to you?
It could be the colors. Like I don't know.
Honey,
How do you look?
does this dress make me look fat?
No, my
That's
guy.
we don't. But here's the
And
problem.
real quick, G, with George and even Max to an extent, Strus, shooters sometimes just take a little bit to get going, and they certainly have. Strus is shooting 37%. You live with that. Niang has not been what he was last year.
But
they need to step up. But it's still too early to say.
But
those
no.
have been bad
Here's
signs.
what I'm saying, McNuggets, though, is when you talk about Max Strus, I'm talking about, we talk about Kevin Stefanski in the way that he goes about situation. I'm not worried about him shooting. I'm worried about where he gets his shots and with the context of it. What is the offense where we're running something where we're going to get a double pin down or some baseline action and get him going? Nothing. When you look at Evan Mobley, there is no go-to move. Like, you guys have scouts and people on your staff that work with guys to get a go-to move. He still doesn't have one. And on top of it, the scary part is the Cavs were the number one defensive team in the league last year. And the reason why they were number one defensive team in the league is because they had young players who sold out during the regular season, and they got them to buy in that you guys have to play hard every single night. Now, as you get 3 years in, and Evan Mobley's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and Darius Garland and got his money, and you got other guys coming in, Karis LeVert has gotten paid. Now it's like, well, we're veterans now. We might want to play like the rest of these teams. Like, let's go ahead and coast and get the 5th seed or 6th seed, and we'll turn it on. But the problem is, you don't have the talent to turn it on. You don't have the toughness that showed you need to play in the playoffs.
That's my fear.
And you don't have the street cred, if you will, because those teams have won things.
Yeah, they've
you
won
don't do
stuff.
that before you won anything.
My fear is that they lack toughness.
They offer no. They let the Kings shoot 58% from 3.
Yeah, Sacramento was on fire.
There's no closeouts. It's no fire.
Well, I feel bad for JB because the worst thing has happened.
The star has turned.
Kevin Stefanski then started winning games, and all of the eyes have went to him.
You son of a, you dirty.
It ain't no more
Facts.
fire Stefanski. It has all gone to JB, and he by himself.
The Tiki Torch mob is moseying their way down to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
For the first time since however long, certainly since I've been in Cleveland, I'm not going to say they're the best franchise. They're not the best franchise, but the Browns are the best team in Cleveland right now.
And that's never been the case.
It's been a while.
Like ever. Like, and here's the thing. Even with the new coach gonna get a honeymoon, Tyvis.
Yeah.
And with the Guardians, Vogt gonna get a whole smooth honeymoon.
Oh, he's such a great guy. Jay said you won't hire a guy that's better.
The Guardians will be
Great
pretty good.
guy.
And
So
the
that right there gets you 3
And
years.
the Cavs will be better.
Get you 3, right?
But this Cavs team
Gets it
just
one.
feels like to me like one of those teams that, like the Hawks or the Pacers, that they go to the playoffs and
Like
they lose
Utah.
in the first round.
You know what
Utah.
Cleveland loves overachievement.
Yes.
They love it. This team right now is underachieving.
Yeah.
And the city doesn't have much tolerance for underachievers.
And they don't have much tolerance from outsiders saying stuff in the media. If you look, Deshaun Watson just now getting out of there. He had to break an ankle, have a shoulder injury, and lead a touchdown, improbable. Now you got Donovan Mitchell. Now look, the Cavs gave up 3 first-round draft picks. So did the Browns. So as this thing keeps going, that pressure is going to build and mount on Donovan Mitchell. Not the rest of them, him. He's the second-team All-NBA guy, and they're going to start to say, Are you the best player on a NBA championship team, Donovan, or are you just a guy that is overrated a little bit?
Scores a lot of points.
Gee, I just took a peek in the chat. They all say they're screaming trade Darius Garland.
Really?
That's not going to happen.
No,
not going to happen.
Everybody in the chat, well,
It's a few.
Not gonna
there's
happen.
a few
Hey,
comments.
one thing on the
I saw.
Cavs, and then we're gonna bring in Kelly Holcomb here. But last
never.
season, G, to what you said, the Cavs, the best defensive team in the league. But the fact they won 50 games was because of their defense. Their offense was middle of the pack, average, as you say, Minimowski. This year, the defense has reverted to 16th in the league in points per game allowed. They've gone from 1 to 16. They dropped 15 spots. The offense still lacks the creativity and playmaking to score the top teams in the league. So if they're not playing defense, they're not going to win. But let's go.